Biscuits. 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 Have I got a good level? Biscuits. Am I? I just keep looking at that one biscuit that's left. Biscuits, right. Let's talk about Dex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things released this week.
Let's talk about Dex. Let's talk about Dex.
Let's
do it.
So welcome to the DJ Knowledge Crate podcast, episode 6.
Episode 6, wow. I don't think I need to do a jingle because I just did like an intro jingle, which, to be honest, I kind of stole off of Bazza.
Episode 6, the OGs.
You made it yours.
Yeah, I did make it mine.
I said it louder and faster, so therefore it's
That's
now.
basic rules of making something yours, isn't it?
I am the master. Right, well, let's kick into some news then, huh?
Yeah, let's do that. So, the latest news, TRAKTOR Pro. What's going on?
I tell you what, I think we should take a little step back here because there's been a lot of chat about Native Instruments, although they've been doing a lot of kind of production stuff, Contact Machine and what have you. The TRAKTOR Pro, which is their DJ platform software, has been a little quiet. Yeah. The last kind of major update they did was probably 2.5 years ago when they brought out the stems format, and before that was the remix decks, which, you know, for me creatively were amazing tools to give DJs, more power for their performance. But, it just didn't stick as well as it wanted.
There was an initial burst of like kind of interest in it where people were really curious about it all, and like
Carl Cox was all behind it.
Yeah, there was like a whole stems thing on Beatport, wasn't there? Like where labels were selling, certain labels were selling stems. Didn't you do it as well, Jay?
Yeah, I did it for a couple of releases to see how it tested. I spoke to quite a few sort of labels and producers, and they got. Some of them were like, yeah, of course, what the stems format involves you doing is basically splitting your track into 4 different stems. And it was typically drums, bass line, vocals, and then, miscellaneous stuff on the 4th one. And some
bugle
producers,
horn.
Bugle horn.
I do like the idea, I have to
bugle?
say.
Huh?
I do like the idea. I always thought it was
a great idea.
Yeah. Instantly make either an a cappella or an instrumental out of a track, or just take the drums to add, as a creative tool for DJs. Fantastic idea.
I mean, no disrespect either. It's also a great idea that Ableton had 10 years before, probably as well. Like with being able to. So I don't know. Maybe there was that element to it, but I mean, or maybe it was the kind of apathy of the labels who didn't quite want to like kind of release stuff like that, or maybe just producers that didn't want to give away stems to their tracks. It was like a few different things, but the concept was solid.
Yeah.
But the actual
didn't follow through.
The actual practicality of it didn't really follow through, and then. For want of a better way of putting it, TRAKTOR kind of fell off the map for a little while.
They were they've got a lot of users, but they were
loads
just
of users,
they were just very there weren't anything significant. And meanwhile, you've got Serato, and basically since that had happened, Rekordbox DJ has just evolved into this fully functional platform that certainly matches Serato. I mean, to be honest, they've both kind of got small kind of USPs, but the reality is that they're both very powerful. And I think just by the sheer fact that the market had moved so quickly, it made TRAKTOR just push a little bit back into the distance. So, but that's all changing. A huge announcement from their new product director.
I don't want to say Phoenix from the Flames, but because we haven't actually seen it yet. But
Phoenix from the Flames.
Yeah, you've said it now. That's it.
I did, didn't I? I did.
Are you guys hopeful on this one? Or?
Oh, big time. I was a TRAKTOR user for like 4 years, I did make a move over to Rekordbox. Mainly because when the D2, S5, and S8 came out, they're all 3 controllers that all didn't have jog wheels, and just for me personally, that had moved away from what I wanted to actually go back to more bigger jog wheels. I was using an S4. So the announcements come out. Obviously, it's a little bit kind of loose, but it's a little rare for companies to do this. Normally, the Pioneers, Seratos, and Denons of the world normally keep things pretty close to their chest. But the announcements come out of basically there's going to be a new software platform and new hardware coming this year. That's pretty much it. That's for the news.
There was little tickles of like, say, the little promo videos of like Andy C using it for the last couple of weeks, and we were having like little kind of internal discussions here, thinking, a Traktor coming back with something because
Right,
they've put this out there, and like
Drip
one of the biggest
feeding
DJ in the
bits and
world,
bobs.
like Andy C is like kind of doing a promo video for him. So is something in the plans here? And like 2 weeks later, the news drops. So
Like a phoenix from the flame.
Yeah, well, I think they kind of had to make.
flames.
I think it's a good move for them to make that announcement because if they don't say anything for 6 months, that's another 6 months of people potentially going to Serato, Record Box, or or wherever.
Or exactly, people just leaving the platform altogether.
Yeah.
I did a gig recently. It was the first time in a long time I'd seen someone take out Traktor. It's really seems to have sort of dipped in people using it.
I mean, I think there's, I think from what I've seen, don't quote me on this, but I think there's like 500,000 users of Traktor.
Right.
So it's, it's still
there,
it's still very, very big. And if you kind of look at the sort of Google trends, Traktor's still way up there with the other platforms.
Would you
I
miss
mean,
it
I'd
at
say
all?
1 in every 20 requests that we get at the school were probably Traktor related.
Yeah.
Would you miss using it much or
The thing is, the things that I miss from it have now evolved in Record Box and Serato, so I don't miss it as much as I used to. But I think the big exciting thing, there's two things here. One, obviously, the new software. Now, when I say new software, it is new software. They are literally building it from the ground up. So there's going to be a new Traktor platform, which they've started from scratch with. And Traktor Pro, they've kind of said it will be supported for the next few years. And then as the new Traktor software, matures, they'll then discontinue that. And sort of on that tip, they have actually quietly discontinued the D2 and the S5. So from a hardware perspective, very interesting to see what they're going to come out with. I think one of the big things is the jog wheels. You look at the DDJ 1000, it's come out with like full-size CDJ jog wheels.
It's gone exactly the other way,
exactly,
hasn't it?
And that's what I think Pioneer do get really right. And we're going to talk a little bit later about the mix on Reloop. But again, really nice kind of jog wheels. And I think, that's a staple part of what DJs want. So I'd be really surprised if Traktor came in. But, they're, I don't want to say reinventing themselves or Phoenix or whatever, but I think they do have to look. They do have to look at their place in the market. Where do they fit? Where do they sit? What is their market going forward? Because they're very much a production and DJ based company, and the stems and remix decks definitely move towards that. So it's going to be very interesting times indeed.
It's definitely going to be interesting. Just put more options out there onto the market again, I think is the consumer wins.
Yeah.
Okay, so to recap, build from the ground up.
Yeah. New software built from the ground up. Announcing new hardware. We don't know what it is, but
Discontinuing the
D2 and the S5. Yeah, so it's nice. You know what? I do have a lot of love for Traktor. I think they've been a very kind of forward-thinking company. Not everyone gets it right, and I think they just made a couple of mistakes. With the stems and remix, or not necessarily mistakes, but it just wasn't big enough.
Yeah, I don't think it was even like necessarily mistakes, was it?
Yeah.
It was just like misjudging, like kind of, but with a solid concept.
Yeah, I think that alongside other things that were following the kind of consumer trend, it would have been fine. But I think it was a bit of, it feels like a bit of an all or nothing thing with the stems.
Yeah,
and they've just had a new round of funding as well, so they've doubled their Traktor team. So they're going all in.
Big.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to Shure.
Dun,
This one's Terry's bag.
Dun, 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 dun. I feel like I've lost an old friend today.
Yeah,
I genuinely do.
okay.
Yeah.
Talk to me. It's always good to get these things off the chest.
I'd say 1997, maybe 96. I'm not sure. I met a special someone. That special someone's name was Shure M44-7.
Are you sure?
I am sure. I'm sure they've revolutionised the way that I scratched, along with quite a few other scratch DJs. They were literally like treacle. They just stuck to the records.
Yeah.
At that point, I got introduced to them through Turntable TV, which is Q-Bert's very classic video series that used to come out on VHS, and they went to Japan and just bought up the stock of all their M44-7s in Tokyo. And from that moment on, they just became the synonymous needle with scratch DJs. Still to this day, I mean, we have a few pairs of different pairs of needles in the in the school here. But anytime I teach anybody to scratch or anytime I'm playing tunes, I'll put my Shure M44-7s on, and through various I mean, you can read we actually put the statement up on our Facebook page, so you can go there and read it. It's due various market kind of forces. They've decided to withdraw not just the 44-7, but basically all their phono products. So they're just going to do microphones and headphones and whatever else Shure does. But yeah, it's a very, very sad day for scratch DJs. I mean, there's obviously more options out there on the market now with the Autophon Concord, the new Autophon Concord range. But they're the only other real competitor for a scratch DJ. They're the only other option on the market. So the high end of this, me and Jay were just talking about earlier, the high end of the needle market, there was only really two there, and now there's only one. Look, I was giving you the finger then. I just flicked down from 2 to 1.
I was just going to be a little bit controversial. I thought they were. I just kept replacing them, having to break
loaded, and I think that's probably a lot to do with their downfall. Lots of people, even I've said, and I'm a big user of them. Even I've said over the last few years that they've become more and more fragile. They used to be bulletproof, but now I seem to get through them all the time.
Yeah, that's why I moved over to.
I've got a question. Why do you think they're stopping making them?
I think that it's possibly. I don't know this. I don't know anything about this, but I think the standard of them has gone down. Like the build standard has gone down, and I think for them to maintain a product where that they're not going to get probably constant complaints about them breaking all the time, it'd just be too expensive to maintain when they're probably just not making that much money off them anyway, because they're one of the biggest microphone producers, they're one of the biggest headphone producers. I just don't think that it's cost effective for them to do anymore.
Yeah, it's a shame really, because you kind of look at it, I kind of liken it to the Technics turntable.
Yeah.
You know, they
or Vestax.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of them that have kind of come out of the market that people have got very like kind of strong nostalgic attachments to, like the entire Vestax range. Obviously, like the Technics, and now with the Shures.
I think they were not that it really matters, but they're the coolest looking needle. I think.
Oh, they're banging. Yeah, there's some other very, very ugly needles in the range. I don't know if you checked out the range.
The weight you could put on your own weights and stuff. You know,
yeah. I mean that was actually the Technics head shell itself. Like the cartridge was just like a square, and it looked like it had like a baseball, an American football mask on it, with the grill around the front. But the rest of their range looked like if you were to watch like a 1950s sci-fi kind of black and white film, they all look like the heads of like the various aliens that were.
It was when Craze was when it started.
That's when they stopped coming out of business, because they were scaring kids.
All his championships. That's when I said, "Geez, I need them." Because they'll make me scratch better.
Yeah, I mean,
10 years later,
Cuba has been Cuba has had a range with Autophon for years that are still on sale and stuff. And like I say, Autophon have just dropped these. What is it, 5 or 6 new Concords?
Yeah, for different ranges like club, DVS,
yeah,
scratching,
exactly. There's a DVS one. I actually did a bit of research into them today, and it's a lot to do with the actual shape of the needle. More than anything else, and the weight, obviously, on the actual cartridge itself. But yeah,
and how scary they look.
Yeah, they do look scary. They look like you could stab someone up with them.
I think you're probably right though. When you think about the microphone game, and you think about compared to like, you know, the smaller number of people scratching, it's probably just like
I think less and less people are buying them.
Yeah.
And they're just not cost effective to make anymore. So hopefully, what that means to me, hopefully there'll still be like a lot out there on the market still. I know that I've just gone and bought myself a pair this morning, and I'm probably looking to buy about 3-4 more pairs.
Sure, it's not like a ploy to catch people like Terence here and say,
probably.
Hey,
I am a bit of a sucker.
It totally works.
Yeah, it totally
literally
works.
within 4 minutes, who's like order himself a pair.
Just leg it on.
Like a kind of someone who knows the industry well did tell us about this about a month or so ago, and I was like, nah, that's not going to happen.
Right.
Yeah, the announcement came today, yeah.
Sad day.
Yeah, there you
Sad
go.
day.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
All right, so we move on to the Reloop Mix-On 4 for Serato.
Yeah.
I've got a proper mix on.
Yeah.
I swear you make these up ahead of the gig.
No, I don't know. No, it's just freestyle. Or I steal them off other people. One of the two.
Yeah, it's Serato 4-channel controller. And I wanted to mention it, I don't know if it's relatively new, but it's new to us.
Yeah.
So it's new news to us. I mean, first of all, you know, great build. Like, this thing is like solid.
Yeah.
You know, it's a proper... I think it's actually metal on the top.
It's metal fascia, yeah.
It's really well built. Like all of the faders, the rotary controls, I'm blown away by. You know, a lot of them on the controllers can feel a little bit plasticky and whatever, but these feel like they've got purpose. You know, there's tension or a little bit of resistance. So for the filter, well, you just feel like you've got more control over it. It's not just kind of this plasticky button.
And it's clean. The mixer section is so clean as well. That's what we've been playing on it a little bit, and you're not. It's of a decent size. It's of the size of like kind of the Pioneer like 1000 DDJ 1000. They're relatively the same size.
Yeah.
But obviously that's down to like kind of platter size as well. But the actual mixer section on there is really clean. I wasn't knocking anything about when I was like kind of doing fast cuts and stuff. Jay had to listen to me smash it out of earlier.
Yeah, don't ever let anyone test a controller while they've got headphones on.
But yeah, no, it's really, really, really nice. I mean, the one thing I'd say about the actual build, because the rest of it is banging. The one thing I say about the build, and you might agree with me, you might not, it's more of a personal preference, is I just don't like the play and the cue buttons. I think they're a little bit too clicky. They're a little bit too... Because the rest of it feels like
they're not very friendly, are they? They're a bit clicky. They're a bit like
they're not very friendly. They're off there with the other girls underneath the bleachers in the sports ground. Like, just talking about you while you're just trying to do your homework over here. Like,
and being really nice to you to your face.
Yeah, I know. So backstabbers.
So
but no,
let me ask you this: is the platter small, like the same kind of smaller?
They're definitely smaller than like this DDJ 1000.
Yeah.
They're kind of like what has been kind of the standard size. I mean, what, 12, 14 centimeters, 13 centimeters, something like that. But they're a little bit lower than normal ones. But they've got they're a very heavy feel to them. Again, like it's a really nice kind of touch to them. And I think for that kind of level control of 4-mixer channel is. I wouldn't say it's rare, but it's a nice touch. You know, we talked about this earlier about the platters. You know, they are an important, integral part of a DJ. You know, scratch DJ or not. You know, when you're controlling music, you want to feel like you got control of it, and you do. I mean, funny when we got it last week, we plugged it in, and literally 45 minutes just flew by. Like we were just kind of playing around, pushing buttons and stuff, and you know, had a lot of fun on it straight away.
Yeah. The platters are. You made the point already, but they're a little bit more flush, and for me, that kind of. If you've got a platter of that size, that when they're a little bit lower to the controller, that seems to work a bit better for me, I think. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to compare it to the 1000 again, but the 1000 has like proper CDJ jog wheels, and that's always going to feel natural. But a platter of that size, it does feel nicer, slightly lower on the unit itself.
You also need to remember this, Terence. Size isn't everything.
Bloody helps,
yeah.
Because if it is,
Yeah.
Says the man with the smallest feet in the room.
Yeah, what size are your feet, Baz?
I'm not getting into this on the air. It's a decent size shoe, I think.
He's got 2 pairs of socks on the toe. He's actually a size 4.
He used to have a job as a clown.
Look at me, I have completely normal sized feet.
All right.
Strange thing to say at a job interview.
All right, mate, but what's your order? This is McDonald's, not Clark's.
We
were doing so well there.
We were. So a couple of other things I wanted to mention with it. It's got a little iPad dock, so it links up with Algorithm as well, which is, you know, again, nice little extra touch. You know, it's still Algorithm's still the only platform out there at the moment that DJs can use Spotify as part of their sets. So that's nice. Plenty of outputs. I really like the loop control, which is really nice because you actually get to see in a little LED underneath, which I think is really important. I think just my natural instinct when turning the loop selector, I'd want to push it down to activate it. And I don't know if that's just historically from what I've been used to. Yeah. There is a button right underneath it.
That I found that as another like kind of, I'm going to talk about my pluses with this a little bit more, but as a slight negative, I felt the looping function a tiny bit clumsy. But that's more probably just me getting used to using it more than anything else.
How did you?
Because I wanted it to click. I wanted to push down the knob and it click and it create the loop. Instead, you've got kind of a loop reader underneath that goes from, it's like a 4 or 5 block loop reader, and it goes like 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, but then it goes down to like the a quarter of a beat, a 16th of a beat, and blah blah blah, and you kind of have to rotate the knob all the way around to get to like the smaller cuts of the loop, which I thought was a little bit clumsy, but at the same time,
practice with it.
just a practice with it.
Do you know what? It's just that muscle memory with it. It's exactly the same with the RB. When we do a lot of lessons, with the smaller controllers, there's the rotary selector to go up and down the tunes, and then there's the 2 load buttons underneath it. But the natural instinct for just us, I think, as humans, is that's the one I want, and as I'm holding it, I'm going to push that down and select it. And I think that's.
But ultimately, one of the things that you want from a controller like this is the performance pads, and the performance pads are awesome on it. Like really, really good, really, really well, like kind of balanced when you touch them. What I liked about it as well is you've got access to not only the flip on there if you're using Serato. So flip is an awesome kind of plug-in for Serato, but you've got pitch play as well. Now I haven't got the pitch play to work on there yet. I'm not 100% sure if it needs an update or something like that, but there's an actual like kind of button on there that you can press to use pitch play. Now this is quite a revolutionary thing because they've not really got that on much hardware at this moment in time. So how that pans out, I haven't played with it yet on there, but how that pans out, it can be quite interesting, I think.
I think just to kind of go back to the Traktor story, this kind of flip and pitch play, which both now sort of Serato and Rekordbox have. Again, it's quite a cool little tool, and creatively, it's really kind of pushing the boundaries of what DJs can do within their sets. It's certainly not for everyone. It's a little bit of a niche thing, and I think that's. I kind of link that again to sort of Traktor and that stems thing. If stems had been an additional tool amongst a lot of kind of updates to kind of flow with where sort of the technology of DJing was going, it would have kind of helped protect it a little bit.
Yeah, you're right. It would have like kind of walled it in a little bit and been able to like because stems as a standalone, it's maybe a bit too much. Yeah. But anyway, back to the mix on. What I liked about it, and it comes with the unit itself. You've got a lightning connection, so you can go from USB to lightning connection, so you can use it with your iOS enabled devices like your iPhones and iPads and stuff like that. So I think that's quite cool. Yeah. And it comes with the connector itself, and it's not very often you get that with an actual unit. You have to go down Tandy's. Unit. Tandy's.
Well, it ain't Mappins anymore.
You have to go down to the 1980s and get yourself a connector, don't you?
Bring, bring. Hello, 1980s.
I'm trying to pretend like I knew what Tandy's was. I remember Tandy's.
You're not that young.
I remember Tandy's.
Like Amazon, but with old men.
Okay. Sounds really great.
But I think all in, and I think, do you know what would appeal with that as well, is like the younger generation coming through, they don't necessarily, the concept of buying music, and this does kind of link to the next story, it's a bit alien. God, if you think that's alien, obviously tapes to them is just like, what? Yeah. But, streaming is, the biggest, becoming the biggest consumption. In fact, a bit of a nerdy fact, Spotify was the biggest revenue generator of music last year, or it had its biggest revenue of the music share last year in 2017 and beat all the other ones.
You got to know that every time we say nerdy fact, we're actually just pushing our glasses up on our nose. Oh, nerdy facts for you.
Slurp.
But
that is interesting.
Yeah, record sales were up 22% from 2016.
That's also interesting.
Yeah, really interesting. So, as Jay mentioned, this does work with algorithm, and I'm not mispronouncing that. It is actually algorithm. It's a DJ Pro algorithm, and I used it the other day with the Wego, the Pioneer Wego, and as long as you got an internet connection, it actually worked amazing.
Okay, yeah.
So there is a future in streaming DJing.
Oh
it's coming.
It's coming. Yeah.
I think that's definitely worthy of a separate podcast.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
So I didn't mean to kill this conversation.
Yeah, nice one. Nice one, Vibe Killington.
Basically, everyone just shut up.
Oh, it's sweating here. Don't say that.
Oh, let me turn the heater off.
Yeah.
Right.
It's May and we've got the heater on. That is depressing.
Oh, mate, I took the dog for a walk this morning. And it was like taking him for a walk in the North Pole. It was mental. And then I walked out.
Did you go to Iceland?
I did, yeah. I got myself some frozen Greggs sausages rolls. I didn't because I'm a vegan, but age with the joke. Anyway, next topic.
Nice one, Buzz Killington.
He's wrecked the buzz today. So this one's mad. I'll let you take it off here.
iTunes.
More sad news.
So a little backstory. So about 2 years ago, it was rumoured to be leaked from somewhere within Apple that iTunes were planning to stop digital downloads. This was kind of based on the fact that if you look at their kind of sort of sales charts going up to 2013 was the peak, and then each year since then it's gone down, and 2017 has gone down, considerably as far as digital downloads. Obviously, as people kind of move more towards kind of streaming platforms, Spotify, Deezer, Apple Music, etc. Then I think either towards the end of last year or earlier this year, it was then kind of leaked again from a more credible source that they were talking about stopping selling downloads. Because my understanding is that because you kind of think, well, look, if you've got the digital file up there, what difference does it make if you're storing it and selling it? But apparently, or my understanding from what I looked up on was that there were two completely separate systems. Okay. So you've got basically double the storage. Now, if you think there are over 45 million songs available on those platforms, even at a sort of 256 AAC file, that is still a lot of storage. And if you assume that everything would have to be backed up on top of that as well.
So what you're suggesting is that it's a storage thing whereby everybody wants to stream rather than...
Maybe. I mean, obviously, as a business, you have to look at a couple of things. And one, obviously, is, your outgoing cost versus the money that you're coming in. And if the money that's coming in is, barely covering or not covering, the costs that you've got for, inventory, staff, storage, whatever it may be, then, it's a smart move to...
I use it for that, kind of just quickly downloading something that I wanted to use tonight or... For gigs as well, especially the more corporate gigs, if you don't have something.
If the streaming thing comes around, then the streaming thing comes around. But, I mean, as Jay said, I mean, it's a big business. iTunes is massive. The amount of employees they must have. I mean, if you look at the human element of that, like the amount of people that are probably going to lose their job is quite sad. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, it's distressing, but that could also open up an entire new world of revenue for people like Beatport, for people like Juno, for all these other, and maybe even like an unknown third, like kind of entity at the moment.
I think it'd be a big win. I mean, I personally buy a lot of the music that I get. I buy it from iTunes. One, it's cheaper than anywhere else. Two, I use iTunes, so it's literally to organise all my music. So just click on the button and within 2 seconds it's in my kind of ecosystem. So from that purpose, it's and practically everyone that's selling music, you'd be mad not to have it on there as well as all the other platforms. But it's going to be, I can see what's coming. But Jimmy Iovine has come out and basically 2019 is kind of been earmarked. I don't know if it was anything that was actually rock solid, but
I think it was more a case of when people stop buying, we'll just stop selling. I think that was like the kind of main thing. I mean, but there are other options out there for DJs. Obviously, like there's the Beatports of this world and blah blah blah. But there's also the record pool. There's so many really really good record pools around there at the moment that almost not even selling stuff that iTunes are as well, like all the different edits and all that kind of stuff.
That's the problem with those big sites for me. I like to get the different wacky versions of that you can't necessarily buy.
The wacky versions, the versions with cartoon sound effects on the top,
the wacky races in.
But you know what I'm saying? The edits and stuff isn't like that. People always ask me when they hear a mix, can I get this on Spotify? And the answer is always no.
No,
So I don't know.
But that's part of what makes DJ, unique. Having these exclusive tunes or tunes that you can't really hear anyone else. You look at a lot of the successful ones. The drum and bass scene, thrived on it. Having dub plates was key and essential. You talk to any of those guys or anyone that was in that scene, they'd be going down to like Music House, getting their dubs cut and be spending 10 to 12 hours down there just to cut a handful of tunes.
And some of the worst DJs in the world, technically, are some of the DJs with the most kind of sought after selected tunes, like that's always kind of been the way. So we get lots of students saying, well, where can I get these tunes from? I really want to play this. And it's like some tunes you just can't get.
You gotta find them.
Some of them you just can't get. Like they're produced by the producer who's playing the set, or they're a dub plate that only a handful of people have got, and that's why you kind of have to go and rip it off of YouTube. Not that we recommend doing that with I don't know, samples and someone from the radio speaking all over the top.
Or create your own.
That is known to rock a crowd.
Oh my God, the amount of clubs I've gone into And they've done it. They've played stuff off our old menu show, which we used to do on Breaks FM in like the sort of late 90s, early 2000s, late 90s. I'd go into a club. I mean, bearing in mind, I used to upload these shows at 56K real audio files. I mean, this was like literally like someone playing it down a phone and then recording it on the other side.
Yeah.
And you go in there and it'd be like, and there'd be my voice over it. Or, you know.
I'd rave hard to the sound of you two chatting over a breaks track. That would really do it for me.
You got to admire people's, persistence and enthusiasm.
I mean, look, well, it was basically this with breakbeat tunes underneath.
We're the most sampled podcast in breakbeat.
It's mainly Terry's jingles.
Yeah. I've got the jingles. That's a short one.
Got jingles.
I
Hey!
was waiting for line two.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Beatport has bought Pulse Locker.
Now this pulls us
High
into
Street sneaker store.
That's right, yeah. Pulse Locker, the well-known, they wear the stripy t-shirts. And, oh, no, that's Foot Locker. Oh, Bazar.
Sorry.
Pulse Locker, if we're talking about... let me clear my throat. So, let me clear my throat, Pulse Locker. Pulse Locker was, and kind of looks like it might be again, the DJ Spotify. Where you could use it inside Serato or Rekordbox. You could go on to the site, you could select tunes that you wanted to play or load into your crates, store them offline, and then play them at the club that night. So it was a monthly subscription thing. I just don't think the culture was there to support it. And November, I think it was, it shut down. And like your Pulse Locker option on Serato and Rekordbox then got greyed out and you couldn't use it again. Finito. From a personal point of view, I used it once and it was a fucking nightmare.
I got to edit that out.
No, I didn't swear. I said kin. It was
a kin nightmare. Go on.
Edit it out anyway. It's always funny when you do the little... So, looks like, which seems like a completely natural thing to do, Beatport has come in and bought it. So, it looks like, they haven't said what software it's going to be available on. I tend to think that it's going to be exactly the same thing again. It's going to be available on Serato and Rekordbox. But they've come in and they've said that they've purchased it so that you can have access to the entire Beatport catalogue.
Wow.
Now that's, because checking the Pulse Locker catalogue before, it, again, solid concept, execution wasn't great because the catalogue really wasn't there. The download system was clumsy and it was a bit... So hopefully they're going to be working on this and making it...
less of a kin nightmare.
Exactly, yeah. Well, it wasn't a full-on kin nightmare, but it was definitely like it verged on being a kin nightmare.
I'm taking that home.
Do you know what? They've got to get this right. This
they
is
have to.
Obviously the Pulse Locker that came out, just didn't work for a whole variety of reasons. For me, streaming for DJs is, an unavoidable future as part of this digital evolution.
It has to happen.
And it's not just for those kind of wedding bar DJs that need a very broad selection of music. This is how people are consuming music now. And you go back to looking at iTunes stopping downloads. Who knows what the landscape's going to be like in 5 years' time. Having those as downloads, and I think if Beatport get this right. I've been saying for ages, why is Spotify only available to DJs as part of algorithm? On a professional level, there are 3, 4, 5 platforms out there that Spotify should be involved in, and it is what it is. But it's definitely going to play a part. Personally, I'm an old fart. I like to have my music on my hard drive, but that's because. That's how I've worked, but I can see the future and not into the future.
New company, right? So like all these ideas that you have at some point, you would assume will come to fruition.
What they've got to make sure they do is not like what they did with the DJ mixes. So with Beatport DJ mixes, you could upload your own mix, monetize it. It was a fantastic idea. But you had to buy the tunes first. Now, if you're doing a mix of your own label, I'm not buying 15, 20 tunes off my own label.
I remember Beatport they obviously came to all of us and said, do you want to do a mix of your tracks off your own label? And I was like, yeah, cool. All right, then. And I was like, what? I have to buy the tunes off my own label to do it?
Yeah, just as soon as you've checked out of your car, you can just proceed with the mix.
Are you mental, bruv? Are you mad?
So, I like where they're coming from.
So I think the ability to be able to do all of this is there because Pulse Locker have proved that it's there, that you can download these tunes. I mean, Spotify, you can download tunes offline in Spotify already, but it's a thing called sandboxing where Spotify can't look at the back end of algorithm, or DJ Pro as it's called, which is the actual software, and DJ Pro can't look at the back end of back end.
I'm trying desperately not to look at you in the eyes. You keep back-ending something.
I was waiting for a stupid joke. I was like, why hasn't he said it?
The time I'm being serious, you lot.
So you're talking about
Baby,
some sort of
got
back end.
back end and I can So it's called sandboxing. Sandboxing your back end.
Oh, do you know, this is why I hate going down the beach. Hate sand. Gets everywhere.
So basically, it's a licensing thing. So as soon as these licenses are sorted out, as soon as all this stuff is sorted out, the technology's there to do it. It can be done. But whether the older generation of DJs will be friendly towards it, or I don't think particularly matters, the new generation, because that's how they're consuming music anyway, are definitely going to be friendly towards it. I mean, the amount of students that we come in here going, what do you mean I can't DJ with streaming? I can't download it. Like, well, they don't understand why you can't. And to be honest, at this point, nor can I.
You couldn't blame them for thinking like that.
Yeah, I can't understand why it hasn't been sorted out yet, and why Spotify or Apple Music or one of these are not talking to Serato, are not talking to Recordbox.
I mean, they may be, but I think, it's just, a licensing and cost.
Well, why is it taking so long? Pass me that biscuit, please.
You're not eating on. He's not eating on.
I am eating on the podcast. I am.
Kick him out. I'm
going to download it and eat it offline.
You're talking about the next topic, by the way. Quick, move on. Catch him.
All right, so the next topic we're going to talk about is Alto TX2.
Oh, yeah.
And TS3 new series.
Oh. Hold on, I've got a biscuit in my gob.
If you chew through that mic, you're getting it.
Is this your mic? Is it? Well.
The amount of edits that are coming here.
So,
this is going up straight.
This is like kind of twofold thing here. Like Alto, well-known PA system, PA system manufacturer, Alto, have just announced a TX2 and a TS3. I know nothing about those two, but recently we have bought ourselves an Alto Black 10. So all I really wanted to say on that is we think it's banging. So we bought this Alto Black 10 and we've used it around a few like kind of our outside events and stuff. And not only does it cover a good sized room. What was the size of the room we were in the other week? I mean, I don't
43
know.
square meters.
43. Was it 43?
I have no idea.
Well, didn't you take your app out and track it like you did?
I should have done.
You should have done.
I was fully sure he had the exact square meter.
So was I. He's letting the side down.
It was about 3 times the size of this room, which means nothing to people listening to the podcast.
It was a large room and it covered it basically.
In all honesty, I'd say it's probably about 90 square meters because this is 30 in here, so about 3 times the size. There you go.
I reckon it's about 3 times the size of this room, and it definitely covered that room. So if you're doing like kind of medium-sized room gigs and you're looking for a really good like kind of option, I reckon the Alto Black 10 is wicked. But also, it's a brilliant studio monitor. We've been running all the podcast, like all the live streams off of it and all that kind of stuff, and getting complaints from the neighbours. We actually got a complaint from the guys downstairs. Yeah,
really booming.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, how much is it?
I can't.
We can't tell you because we stole it.
You didn't buy it, right?
No, we did buy it,
we
but
did.
it was for a discounted price.
I think 500.
Roughly, yeah. Just go to DJ Kit. DJ
So
Kit.
these would work. What about outdoors, like little
100%.
Oh yeah,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's gonna be used for my wife's birthday barbecue.
This is why I'm making a point of it, because it's a good 3-header. Like you can use it in like a medium-sized room. Definitely use it outside, but definitely use it as like a kind of DJ, not a studio monitor, but a DJ monitor in a studio environment.
At the moment.
Yeah.
And you can control the DSP settings with an app on your phone, which, massive win for me. Anything that's got an app attached to it, I'm happy.
Not gone anywhere near that yet, but Jay loves it.
Download that biscuit. We'll get on to the next.
I'll download your biscuit in a minute. Keep reading.
All right, so
He says spraying everyone with biscuit crumbs.
Next up, we have Pioneer HDJ S7 headphones coming in at 170.
Yeah, new headphones. So, obviously there's a big market out there for kind of sort of the mid-upper range.
headphones.
I haven't had a listen to them yet, but Pioneer's name to it.
Let me just be controversial again. The Sennheisers that everybody swears by.
This is. I mean, I've literally. I've had I've worn these since. Well, I bought my first pair, I think, in 91, 92, maybe something.
You're converted.
Oh yeah. I mean, I wasn't converted from anything else. I mean, I literally started on them.
Man. I think again, this side's breaking. Do you see a team with everything I touch?
This is my third pair.
I was going to say
25 years.
I was going to say I've had the same pair for 25 years. I've replaced the cups.
I've replaced the cups, the cables, and the headset.
All right, Trigger.
I mean, 179 quid for these. It's not.
That's a good price.
Yeah, it's not exactly
no
bargain town.
No. But it's not exactly.
But it's not over the.
It's not over the top either.
But I would. There are definitely cheaper headphones out there. But the classic line. You get what you pay for. The key thing with headphones for DJs. Sound quality obviously is key. For me personally, I don't like massively bassy ones because when I'm DJing, I'm not. It's the mid and higher range frequencies that I focus on more when I'm beat matching tunes.
Right, yeah.
But
you also don't want those mid and high to be piercing either.
Yeah. But durability. I mean, literally these. No one can see what I'm doing, but I'm going to carry on anyway.
I'd love it if he just smashed them then. Look at these. I've had these for 25 years. Crack. I mean, I don't like them because they're like little egg cups.
Yeah,
on my
I don't
ears.
like them. That's
like they're just too small.
Yeah,
for
you two
my ears.
got big heads.
Yeah, we've got big dongs.
True. Yeah, big dongs.
Fucking hell. Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
Oh, we're gonna.
Yeah,
I don't like those headphones because I've got a big dong.
Right, let's get on with the next one real quick. Rain 12 controller and 72 mixer.
I mean, look, nothing groundbreaking on this and not necessarily new news. They were announced and kind of showcased towards the end of last year, but they are now officially out. I mean, these are kind of, we've talked about them before, but, it's a turntable controller with no arm or needle and a phenomenally amazing mixer.
It's all in a 72 for that setup. I mean, that's where the magic is sitting for me. Like the 72 mixer, I was in Spain doing a gig week before last, and the guy that picked me up from the airport has got one, and he was talking me through all the bits and pieces on it, and I was like, this thing is amazing.
Loads of little buttons and lights.
But just the fact that you can see the waveforms on it.
Oh yeah.
That just in itself is revolutionary.
Pulling yourself away from the laptop.
Yeah,
and I think that's again, a lot of kind of newer controllers and kit that's coming out is giving DJs more visual feedback as to what the tracks are doing, which is great, because no one really wants to be kind of staring at a laptop. Obviously, it's there for kind of key information, but if you can extract that key information into the hardware that you're focusing on, it's a massive game changer for what the whole setup is doing. To DJ with DVS and remove one of the kind of trickiest parts of, reliability and control and be able to do it. I mean, you've had people like kind of JFB, who else has kind of a few people put videos
Scratch
up.
Bastard. I mean, we talked about Scratch Bastard's thing, like the unboxing last month, but I mean...
what are they saying? What's the official like?
Everybody's loving it, apparently, I mean, I haven't heard too much like kind of bad feedback, and any of it is not really worth mentioning anyway because it's more personal stuff.
My favourite question: how much is it?
DJKit.com.
100,000 plus.
Right.
I really don't know. DJKit.com is the
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think, from what I remember, it's not extortionate.
No. I think the units are around like 700 a go or something like that. And then the
about
mixer,
that.
And then the mixer's like kind of that
1,200, 1,300.
Yeah, maybe even a bit more, like 1,500 or something like that. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Right then. Record shopping.
Yeah,
record shopping.
What is that?
Record shopping.
Should we go now?
Shopping. Yeah, should we get the podcast? Yeah, this is the end of the podcast. See you later. So, we have got really into record shopping recently. Yeah. I mean, there's...
Sorry, wallet.
Sorry, bank account and future
sorry,
me.
House.
That's why my missus doesn't listen to this podcast. So I can divulge how much I've been spending.
We've been so naughty. Like every time it's kind of got a little bit quiet in the office. We've gone, right, what are you doing? I'm on Discogs. Yeah, I'm on Juno, and just kind of enabled each other, and we've both bought records. But I mean, the two main points to take from this is the places that we've been shopping. One online, one actually, which is the most exciting to me, is going back to record shops again.
Yeah.
So for me personally, I know Jay's got a lot to say about Discogs, but for me personally, there's two places online that I've been going quite a lot, and one of them's Bandcamp, and going and getting like because I've been focusing on quite a lot of new music, maybe just like kind of filling up the various gaps in my record collection, stuff that I've wanted for years, which I've been doing by going to shops and getting them there, but going and finding new music online with Juno and Bandcamp. I mean, I've always bought records. There was a big gap there for about 10 years where I haven't bought them again. But the excitement of going out and finding new music, actually on vinyl, and waiting for the vinyl to come and then playing it when I get home and stuff like that, is just absolutely amazing. So massive shout out to Juno, number one. That's Juno Records rather than Juno Download, and Bandcamp as well. I just picked up the new. If you know me, you know that I'm a big fan of Children of Zeus, and I just picked up the new Children of Zeus 7-inch on there the other day. So I got it with a digital download, and they're sending out the 7 inches on the 4th of May. But secondly, going out and just record shopping. So where is it that we went the other day?
So we went to Flashback,
yeah.
which I think they're in Crouch End, Islington, and also in Bethnal Green as well. So like Terry said, it was like going back into record shops again. It's a slightly different buzz for me because I'm going through older stuff that was out 20, 25, 30 years ago. But just that kind of that feeling again of just kind of looking through records, knowing that you've got a couple of hours that you can just kind of dig in there. And then obviously back in the day you were searching through new stuff, so it was like want that, and even though you were listening on a crappy turntable and a crappy pair of headphones, you knew that it was all right because the condition wasn't ever a question. It was like, do I like this tune? I heard blah blah, play this. I want this. Now I've got a bit of a love-hate relationship with it because I love doing that. But what I found on a couple of experiences that obviously these are all used records and that are 25 years old plus, and you're kind of going in there looking at them, catching the light, seeing how one looks, and some of them that look really good, and you can't tell whether they're any good or not. So at the moment, I've been shopping on Discogs for probably for a long time, but quite more regularly over the last couple of years.
And has he?
Going in on the hardcore, the old sort of
the old hardcore jungle, a bit of old house stuff as well, occasional bit of garage.
What kind of? I know it's probably different every time, but what's the general state of those records when they come through the post?
So I'm basically only buying stuff. Well, mostly I'd say 80-90% of the stuff is near mint. And you kind of got to do a little bit of homework. So there's a couple of things. One, the person that you're buying it from, do check their reviews. It's really important for me that the last 6 months has been, at least 100%. I say at least 100%. Between 98 and 100%, reliable, because you're trusting their word. When it comes to the kind of the gold mine grading system, which Discogs use to grade records, mint is a no-brainer. It's sealed. It's never been touched. Near mint is basically been played a couple of times. There might be some few finger marks on it, maybe some very slight wear. VG plus and VG, this is where it starts going. I ordered a couple of records, and this guy graded them as VG plus, got them, and they were basically near mint. So he was very kind of, generous or conservative, should we say.
Has character. What about those records? That one?
Has character.
Is that you're buying a house in a Cape Town.
Has character.
It's a bit of work to do, but it has character.
So I've got a good trust thing with Discogs because I do that little bit of research on the sellers, but also if someone's selling a track for £12, you can go onto that release page and go into the history and see what it's sold for, the average, the lowest and the highest, so you can start gauging whether because there's some people on there, there's a seller on there called Holy Grails. I mean, I don't know whatever these guys are on, but I wish they'd share it out with everyone else because some of the prices they put on there are phenomenal. Like there's one record I can't remember, it's going for like 120, 130, so it's going for a good price. They've got one up there for £1,200. £1,200. That's like 10 times. And you just think, come on.
But just going back to your thing about
you could buy a house in Scotland for that.
But about Bandcamp.
Yeah.
On the flip of buying them, because I just did my 7 through Bandcamp. When you get the order and you're like, Just you know who it is.
Right,
you have their email address.
Yeah.
You kind of have a more personal thing.
Yeah.
It is. It's a win-win, and plus they're not getting ripped with the
100%. Yeah.
So you're actually supporting the.
Oh, I like it. I like it a lot. I like the pay at least £5, and then if you like the artist and you want to support them, stick another couple of quid on there.
I do want to mention at this point as well, HD vinyl. Start on the list.
Hey.
Don't freak out, Bazza.
Hey,
It's
I
all
am a
right.
bit.
You're in
What?
good.
We all got different lists here.
No, I just remembered it right at the last minute.
Right.
I made a manual adjustment to the
HD
list. So basically, this Australian company has received like $5 million of funding to kind of like an extreme crowd funder type thing to create HD vinyl. And the idea behind this is that rather than using the old kind of diamond etched way of producing a record, they are going to be using laser technology to etch into a piece of vinyl.
Buck Rogers, all up
exactly.
in this piece.
So the initial claims are 30% louder, 30% more music, a higher dynamic range of frequencies that are on there. Now.
Wow.
The one thing that obviously, this is exciting, and it will all just be played on just normal turntables and normal needles. But the really exciting thing for me, if they kind of do this right and it does work, and all the claims that they've made so far come true, you have now got the ability to repress every single record that has ever been made in HD. Now, the word HD does get thrown around a little bit, bandied around. When it first came out, people were doing HD glasses and all that kind of
Record shop day next year is going to be a nightmare, isn't
it? but even putting 30% more on a record, is that the idea? Like,
so
you can fit more.
So what they're saying is, because the restriction of kind of the amount of music that you can fit into a vinyl is about the width of the grooves.
Yeah.
And that's why the difference between a 33 is a lot shallower groove, but you can get more of it on there, but the trade-off is you don't get the kind of lower frequencies or the higher frequencies or as good as lower frequencies. That's why practically most dance tracks in any shape or genre are on a 45 RPM, because you've got a lot deeper groove, so you've got a more spectrum range, so you can get those low-end sub basses and you can get that kind of crisper high end. But that's based on a physical diamond physically etching that into a master. If you can now get a computer to lead that with a laser, obviously your accuracy and stuff. So it doesn't seem unbelievable what they're saying. I'd love to hear.
Let's wait and see kind of thing.
I mean, there's a lot of inherent rules that are based on the equipment that cut the records, the limitations to it. And if you're doing that with a laser instead of like Jay says, with like an old school like kind of diamond that's going to crack or is going to fly off or whatever, then the world's your oyster.
There's a difference between C-3PO doing something and Chewbacca. You can imagine C-3PO is going to execute a little bit more level of detail.
What were you saying the other day? You weren't that into Star Wars.
Yeah, but I know the characters from
right,
it.
Okay, fair enough.
All right then.
It's like Abu Akbar in comparison to, I don't know. I've lost interest.
Right, before Terry falls asleep.
The ginseng's wearing off. Quick, let's do this. Speed it up.
DJ Mag, Beatport, Exit Festival, win a set.
Oh, yeah, this is exciting. So basically, DJ Mag got together with Beatport and Exit Festival to give you DJs an opportunity to submit a mix and potentially win a set at Exit. Now,
which is Croatia, is it?
It's Serbia.
Okay.
It's Novi. Well, I think if it's in the same place, it was Novi Sad, which was about sort of 80 k's north of Belgrade. It was one of my first international gigs. In 2001, 2002, and I played to, this number changes all the time, but it was basically somewhere between 10 and 20,000 people. It was probably 30, and I just, had a few drinks and was seeing it all
50,
double.
Mate.
Yeah. It was at least 600,000,
Telling the grandkids.
250 million.
Telling the grandkids.
It's easier to tell you how many people weren't there than were there.
Do you have pictures?
I've literally got two pictures. I've got one of me kind of on the setup that I played on was a 6-tiered structure where there was kind of lighting, there was sound guy, and then there was the DJ bit, then there was all these podiums and platforms come off it. It was off the River Danube. What? I thought it was.
I know. When you said 6-tier structure, I was going to say, what, the hotel?
Yeah, well,
Never actually left.
When I got to the hotel, the Will Saul was there and a few other guys. They hadn't had water for 2 days. I mean, they were stinking. It was like 35 degrees out there.
Woof.
They were humdinging.
So how do you submit a set?
I can't give you all the answers.
Come on, tell us. How do you DJ?
DJMag.com. Yeah, there you go.
All right then.
I know you said DJKit.com.
I was going to say, which is a bit of a segue, but like, did you do your stage dive, your EDM stage dive that night?
No, I think I was too petrified, to be perfectly honest, to start with. No, I wouldn't have jumped off there. It was like literally jumping off the top.
EDM didn't exist then. It was ODM.
Yeah.
Old dance music.
I know which I rather.
music.
But speaking of EDM, will we move on to the passing, the untimely passing?
Yeah, very, very sad. This is
Avicii.
I mean, I think it hit the dance music world and maybe even the music world quite hard that such a young guy passed away, 28 years old.
Yeah.
Really, really sad.
I think what we wanted to talk about here was, obviously, Avicii is one of a few that we've lost over the last, number of years. But what it's the big picture here is about, the grueling life of the DJ.
Let's just say at this
DJ.
point as well, like we don't know what he passed away from at this point. I mean, there hasn't been an autopsy done or anything.
Yeah.
We're more focusing on the troubles that he's had in the past,
Yeah.
which are
And that
documented
many
facts.
DJs, many DJs face.
Yeah.
I was quite inspired a few months ago. There was a documentary that came out that was called Why We DJ Slaves to the Rhythm. And if you haven't seen it, please search for it on YouTube. It's an amazing documentary. I think it's about sort of 30 minutes long. And they talk to a number of DJs, Seth Troxler, B Trace, Ben Pierce. There's a lot of DJs that are involved in it. And what we're mostly exposed to in social media is those 30, 60-second clips of DJs in front of thousands of people and the lights and the fire and everything's going off. And you just think, wow, look at that DJ go. Like, that's phenomenal. But, this documentary and what we want to talk about a little is actually the journey of that DJ getting to that point. Because the harsh reality is, there's quite often, 12, 18 hours of grueling traveling, quite often on your own, in and out of airports, trains, taxis, coaches, you name it.
Yeah.
You're getting there, you're in a strange country, you're going in there, you're chucked on stage, you're performing. And I really just want to stress that this isn't a poor old DJs, but I think it's important to understand that there is another side, or there are, in the peripheral of this amazing footage that you see, there is.
And hopefully we're talking to DJs directly and giving them a warning about this, not trying to make it into a sob story.
I always remember Instagram's 2 seconds of 24 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really just about kind of giving people some advice and tips about, this can really easily get away with you. When I first started DJing and started doing it sort of in clubs and internationally, I was probably in my mid-20s. And I treated every night like a night out. I was bang on it every night. I was DJing. And, at that age, I could kind of get away with it. And I was kind of coming back on Sunday, a little bit worse for wear, get a half-decent night's sleep and back at work on Monday. But I found as I got older, that definitely got harder and harder.
Yeah.
And I made a decision, and I probably didn't make it, as quick as I should do, but I'm glad I didn't have to make a decision when it was already too late. But I started to realise that, I can't treat all of these gigs as a night out, because if you're doing it every Friday and Saturday night, you're giving your mind and your body no time to kind of recoup and catch up.
Quite a few of these, we were treating them as 4 nights out on a trot, and that's not us boasting. That's the reality of like when I first got into like professional DJing and started touring and stuff like that. I mean, I wasn't green at all. Like I had somewhat of a training of having a night out. Like,
I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, but there's plenty of people out there that aren't in that position, that are thrust into this lifestyle. And I did a post about this on Facebook the other day, that the people are thrust into this lifestyle with absolutely no life training on this kind of lifestyle whatsoever. So all the indulgences, whatever they may be, are there in front of you for you to take advantage of. Now,
I can see a few people rubbing their hands, but I
that-
tell you what,
but don't forget as well, when you get there, the first thing that you're going to be offered is drink. What do you have? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not like you even need to look for things. It's just they're dumped on your
they're
lap.
there. They're there.
And if you're tired and you go, well, this little vodka and whatever, kind of.
Yeah.
It helps
And
get
it
over the
happens.
fatigue, and you feel better about playing again.
And the thing about it is, it's just hemming yourself in every now and again.
Yeah.
I think that's the main thing. When you get to our age, getting sleep. I think that this is the major thing as well. But more than anything else, from the years that I toured, exhaustion was the biggest problem.
Yeah.
Now that exhaustion will give you 10 different ailments, be it depression, be it like eating disorders. I've never had an eating disorder, but like these things happen. All this different kind of stuff with just denying yourself a good night's sleep is a major thing. Like all the alcohol, all the other stuff, to a certain extent, when before a certain age, you can kind of deal with that and you can be fresh the next day. But sleep deprivation and exhaustion are massive things, and that will like kind of spill over into the week after when you're sitting in the studio, or maybe you're going back to your job or something like that. The not sleeping, exhaustion, and just doing too much of everything will catch up with you in the end.
Yeah.
And if you want to quit DJing, or if you don't want to quit DJing, potentially at some point you're going to quit DJing whether you like it or not because of these problems.
Well, you're going to have to.
Yeah.
And I think, it's not about not doing these things. It's about just keeping a very real understanding of it. And I think, the sleep is a really important one. The quality of sleep as well. As a touring DJ, you learn to basically grab a couple of hours clip on a pane. Then it's, 45 minutes in a car going from, the airport to the hotel. Then you might get another hour. That's not quality sleep. That's just kind of catching up.
Hotel if you're lucky.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? On the lower,
I've never done a gig without a hotel.
Yeah, I'm a pretty important DJ, Baz. I always have hotels.
I've done it. I've been in another place going, I'm sleeping here, but this looks like where you put your cats.
But mate, I remember being on tour in Canada, and it wasn't even that long ago. It's probably about 8 years ago. And when I'm in Canada, I'm having a good time. I'm there with all my friends. I've got friends all over the country, and every town that I go to, there's mates there, and we're doing whatever we're doing. And by I think the second from last show, we were driving from a place called, it wasn't Nelson, it was one of the other places up in the...
Victoria or something like that.
It was one of the other like little ski towns, and we were driving back to Nelson, actually. We were driving back to Nelson, and I just started having convulsions in the car. Like, I was... And I couldn't control my body. It was through lack of sleep. It was completely through lack of sleep. And at that point, I couldn't sleep even if I wanted to. And it brought on health problems. It brought on health problems for the rest of the tour. If I didn't have like a solid like kind of support system in the town that I was getting to, I was lucky that I had friends there that could like kind of advise me what I should be doing and so on and so forth. If I'm doing that and I'm in Russia and there's no one there that I know at the next town and no one speaks English or anything like that, but that's just one case of it. So just looking after yourself as a DJ, not necessarily indulging every single time, not like kind of like deciding to stay out and party every single night. And it's very tempting, but you can't do it. You can't do it every single time.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, the peak for me is I played somewhere on the Thursday night in London. I'd driven up to Manchester for the Friday night and done a Friday night and got zero sleep really on both those nights. Then patchy sleep. Then went to Spain on the Saturday night. Flew from Manchester to Spain, and had all good intentions of getting a good sleep before the night. And I got there, and there's like 18, 20 breakbeat bods there that I hadn't seen for ages. So, it was only a couple of beers. It was nothing too crazy, but just haven't had the sleep. And ended up, I played the last set with Terry, actually, 6 till 7 in the morning. And the guy...
yeah, your famous Whitey.
Yeah, famous Whitey. And then the guy literally dragged me off the decks at like 6:45, said, we have to go. Like, your flight's at 8, or at 9, and it's an hour drive. We got in the car and we're driving there, and I just went boom.
All comes down at some point.
Once that adrenaline had stopped kicking in, or the adrenaline wasn't there, bang, all came crashing out. I mean, I actually told him, take me back to the hotel. He's like, no, like it's half an hour to the airport.
They were literally at the entrance to the car park of the hotel, and he said, no, take me back.
Yeah, no. We were halfway from the hotel to the airport.
Right, yeah.
And I said, take me back. He said, we're nearly there. And I said, no, take me back. I paid for another flight. I went back. He came in, saw me like white as a sheet, went to the kitchen to try and find like anything green. Like he came back with a plate of like broccoli and cauliflower and stuff.
Typical vegetarian.
Like, lie down. You'll be all right, like that. And I went downstairs, and I was still like that. Went down to the buffet, bought him up 2 eggs and some tissues or something.
I had a similar one about 2 years ago in Greece, where I woke up in the hotel room. First thing I did is the panic, look for my bag.
Yeah.
Couldn't find my laptop. Didn't remember much of this, getting home or anything like that. So I'm panicking, ringing the promoter, going, I can't play the next 4 nights because I've no laptop, I've no bag. So I remember having a good solid, there was about 4-hour journey to the next place. I had a good word with myself going, you need to fucking chill the like I know there's ouzo or whatever it was. It's like, it doesn't taste that nice. Yeah. You don't need to drink it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just because people are having fun and giving it to you. Maybe say no the odd time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, it's balance. It's all it is,
balance,
and
you're denying yourself a wicked time as well. Like the amount of gigs that I've got to, especially in like shout out to Mish and all those guys in Rostov in Russia. I just get too overexcited every time I'm there, and I say to myself, I promise myself that I'm not going to end up just like passed out on one of the couches at the back of the club. Every single time I've been there, barring the last time that I was there because I had to catch a flight earlier in the morning. I was passed out on the seat, and while everybody was having a great time.
It's, you're building memories and securing your brain's ability to retain memory.
In short, don't be a bleep. Just go out there, have a good time, get some rest. Don't be a Phil.
Yeah, don't be a idiot.
All right.
You got to bleep him a couple of times. I mean, it is funny with the bleeps, though. it does actually.
Yeah, it's not funny when you go edit it.
They're talking about censoring our language, and the very next note is called back your
beep up. Yeah,
back your
smack
up. Can we say it? Are you going to put a marker in there?
No, I don't want to edit this.
Back your...
Just want to top and tail, and up it goes.
All right.
Tech tips. This one's going to be short and sweet. Back your music up. It is so simple.
The two of them looking at me.
Do it. If you're listening
don't store all your music on your desktop.
Don't do that, by the way. I've found a new place.
It's quite simple. If you've got a Mac, utilize the Time Machine. All you do is buy an external drive, plug it in, switch on Time Machine. It's literally one button. There's nothing else to it. There's no settings. It's just on or off.
It really is.
And it will take an absolute snapshot of your whole laptop from all your pictures, music, emails, all your kind of settings, favorites, you name it. It will do everything.
We basically teased this little story quite a lot on the on the podcast about me crying in Georgia on live TV. That came around because.
Because you'd had 3/4 of a bottle of vodka.
Because I'd had 3/4 of a bottle of vodka, number one.
This kind of goes against what the advice we've just been giving.
I know, this is all the advice. This is all of it summed up in one. Don't drink 3 bottles, like 3/4 of a bottle of vodka.
Or 3 bottles of vodka.
Or 3 bottles of vodka. And make sure everything's backed up. I cried on national TV because I did the first thing and didn't do the second thing.
Yeah. If you're on Windows, there is various programs out there. Just do some research, find out, an automated way of getting whatever is on your laptop on there, or just buy an external drive and at least just drag your collection and your music that's over there. There's other services like Dropbox, and I want to see this clip with Baz taking a little clip. And there's all kinds of showing off their shoe sizes.
It's a direct feed to your church.
Yeah. Welcome to the church.
Get a Dropbox account. It's free.
Dropbox
stick with your music. And another great thing about the Dropbox is that, especially if you're doing gigs abroad, get your top 20, 30, 40, 50 tunes and just chuck them into a folder in 100%. Dropbox. If you lose your laptop, lose USBs, whatever it is, all you need is an internet connection. You can download them again, nice and easy. But however you do it, back your music up. Pause this podcast right now. Go and do it.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah, solid advice.
Do you know what I keep forgetting to mention throughout the show is to, if you like the podcast, give us a little rating, write us a little review, share it to your mates. You know the drill. You hear it on every single podcast.
Yep.
Just imagine I've said it 4 times already.
Do you like the way I hassle both of you last week
No.
to like my podcast?
Oh, yeah, we already had.
We'd already done it. Both our reviews were already on there.
I didn't see them. Sorry, but thanks. It's very important, you know.
Are you sure you're looking?
Rate, review,
subscribe.
Rate, review, subscribe.
And share.
Rate, review, subscribe.
5 stars.
Yeah, 5 stars every time.
If you think it's 5 stars, if you don't think it's worth 5 stars, then don't rate it.
Then piss off.
You're editing it now. That's it. I'm done.
I think we nearly are done.
Yeah, we are. Well, I think that's it. It's been a good show. I think we've gone over the. Not that we lost a specific amount of time.
We've gone well over the hour, though, haven't we? I think, anyway.
What about,
hour and 8 minutes.
We both, well, all three of us have our own little things going on the side.
side pieces, side dishes,
side
dish.
Yeah, little side.
Thank you for consuming the main course. Here's your desserts.
Yes. So myself and Barry Ashworth from the Dub Pistols have a little show on Soho Radio the last Thursday. Oh, what was it? No, the last Tuesday of every month. The third Tuesday of every month. What was it last Tuesday? Was it today? It's the first, isn't it? Yeah, so it's the...
There he is. No pistols on.
So it's the last Tuesday of every month. Last Tuesday of every month, myself and Barry Ashworth have our show on Soho FM, Soho Radio, should I say?
I've got to say, in history, that has got to be the worst plug of anything.
Right, everybody shut up. Everybody shut up. Right, hold on.
Take 2.
Let me get this right. So myself and Barry Ashworth have a little show on Soho Radio the last Thursday of every month called London Calling. Make sure you go check that out. It's 2 hours of quality music and interviews. It is a banging.
I just heard it was just about Barry going to the pub over the road and getting pints.
Pretty much is, yeah.
I have to say,
I'm now his music boy.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
He goes over to the pub.
Enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, we had Barry. It was very confusing. We had 2 Barrys in the studio last week.
Bazza-bazza-tell.
Bazza-bazza-tell, yeah.
So yeah, good Bazza sandwich.
I indulge in a Baz sandwich, yes, for sure. Yeah, it was all right. It was
nice.
Good. Yeah.
So I've got a podcast taken from my weekly coollondon.com show. Just go to my Facebook page, Jay Cunning Music, and you'll see all the links. It's loads of old stuff. So if you like your old hardcore,
Dr. Alban,
ODM,
2 Unlimited,
ODM,
Vanilla Ice.
Yeah.
ODM, yeah, old people dance music.
And last week's show, or the end of April, was a back-to-back with me and LSD, which is done
nice.
Very well. So if you like
Jay
the
and his
history, I like him. He's like my older brother.
He's kind of like your music dad.
I mean, that's a massive compliment. Yeah. It's quite surreal though, considering 26 years ago, I was at raves, like just he was there DJing, and I was like, wow. Proper pinnacle, and then 26 years later we're doing a back-to-back on.
He literally doesn't look a day older than, like, he's got white hair now, but if you gave him like kind of slightly younger coloured hair, he would look exactly the same.
He's got one of the best names in music. I think.
LSD, yeah.
He actually took that from. There was an artist in Chicago, Detroit, who initially called. I think it was Junior Vasquez. Initially called himself LSD, but he was LSD, as in the 3 letters.
That's a bit stupid.
And I think we'll take it from there. And then he became
LSD is good.
Yeah.
So they both took it from the drug then.
Oh yeah, that Mandy DJ's all right, eh?
Insurance costs stupid, just stupid. Sorry. Yeah, my podcast, Dirty Dope Cast.
No one cares. See you later.
Fucking.
Right, you two can flip between editing. Do you know what? I tell you, this is what we're going to do for next week. Well, I'll keep a little tally of all the little potty mouths that come in, and whoever says the
blatantly said more than me.
Whoever does the most has to do the edit.
Barry blatantly said it more than me. Yeah.
All right. Well,
anyway,
not swear jar, edit duty.
Let's leave it at that. I'm ready to go.
Yeah. All right. See you later.
I wanna dex you up.
Oh yeah, let's have a little sing.
All night.
I wanna dex you up. Let's talk about Dex, baby. Let's talk a little montage. Well, that's it. Kill it. Later.